Chapter 1, Hello. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lying in his hospital bed that summer, he felt like he was in a beautiful dream. A nurse stood before him, and through her white coat, he could clearly make out her blue short-sleeved top and black undershirt, all the way down to her white pantyhose. To a kid like him, this was a sweet dream, all right. "Oh, you're awake." The nurse, after checking the monitors, turned and saw Xia's eyes. She felt like he was looking right through her, still half in the dream. Xia didn't answer, just kept enjoying the view. The nurse got uncomfortable and hurried out of the room, calling, "Dr. Li. Dr. Li. The ICU patient's awake." "Hey, don't go." Xia Tian sat straight up, but a sharp pain shot through him. What the heck was going on? He looked down at his body, which was covered in bandages and stitched-up wounds. An 4 was hooked up to his arm. Ouch! So I'm not dreaming. What happened? And why could I see through the nurse's clothes? Just then, a man and a woman in short sleeves walked in. But wait, where were their coats? He blinked hard, and this time, they were both wearing crisp white coats. Am I hallucinating? He tried to see if he was still dreaming, and the scene repeated itself, the two of them appearing without coats once more. This is actually real. A wave of surprise and excitement hit him, followed by a dizzy spell that almost knocked him over. Who told you to sit up? You haven't even had your stitches out. Don't move around. Dr. Li frowned at Xia. This was a special patient, and the hospital administration had ordered them to take extra good care of him. Xia finally remembered why he was here. He'd been dumped by his girlfriend right before college entrance exams and was wandering around feeling sorry for himself when he saw a little girl run into the street. A van was barreling down on her, and in the nick of time, Xia had pushed her out of the way, getting sideswiped himself and slammed into a guardrail. But how did he suddenly get this power? He knew he wasn't wrong about what he'd seen. At his age, how could he forget seeing through the nurse's coat? Still, this ability couldn't be used all the time. That dizzy feeling must be a side effect. Hey! Earth to Xia. Dr. Li snapped his fingers a few times. When Xia didn't respond, his expression turned serious. Xia's condition had been touch and go. If he hadn't been lucky, those injuries would have been fatal. Even though the wounds had been treated, he seemed a little out of it. The hospital had made it clear, they had to fix him. Still no family contact? Dr. Li asked, frowning. Money wasn't a problem, someone had already paid the bill. But he needed to know if the patient had any prior medical conditions. Why else would he be acting like a zombie? His phone was smashed, and the SIM card's gone. We asked around, but no one recognizes him, the nurse said, shaking her head. Tend to his wounds. I'm going to call President Zeng, Dr. Li said, heading out. He needed to explain the situation. The girl Xia had saved wasn't just anyone, she was the daughter of Jianghai City's most famous businesswoman, Zeng Ro. The nurse gently laid Xia back down, carefully reapplying the loosened bandages. His stitches had just been done, so he couldn't move around too much. Xia stayed dazed and silent, his eyes fixed on the nurse. Everything in front of him seemed to shift, and as long as he wanted to, he could see right through the nurse's clothes. A vision of the woman kept flashing in front of his eyes. Once the nurse had finished with the bandages, she left the room. Xia's eyes made her uncomfortable. He stayed there a long time before snapping back to reality. Now he was sure, he had a superpower, X-ray vision. No way. The college entrance exam's coming up, and I can't stay here, he muttered. He didn't want to risk delaying it and having to wait another year. I don't even know how long I've been here. My cousin must be worried sick. Xia had no idea how long he'd been hospitalized. His mother had died when he was little, and his father when he was 14. Since then, he'd lived with his aunt's family. His cousin had bought a house near her college, and his aunt, worried about her safety, had him move in with her. He didn't go back often, maybe a few times a month. The house was far from his school, which was why, looking up, he saw a calendar on the wall. The college entrance exam was less than 2 weeks away. I gotta get out of here or I'll miss the exam. My dad always wanted me to study hard and get into a good university. I can't let him down. He tried to move, taking it slow to avoid straining his wounds. What are you doing? Lie down. The nurse, watching from the surveillance monitor, hurried over to stop him. She was gorgeous, even without makeup, way prettier than most celebrities. Seeing her, Xia couldn't help but want to use his new power. I'm checking out. I can't afford to pay for the hospital, he said. His aunt had money, but he never asked her for it. His tuition came from his father's savings, and he usually paid his own expenses. Your bill's already been taken care of. You need to lie back down. You're still hurt. You need a few months to recover. Even though she didn't like his eyes, she was a nurse, his nurse, and she had to take care of him. Months? He didn't have that kind of time. No way. The college entrance exam's in 2 weeks. College exam? She was taken aback. She'd heard something about him. He'd been injured saving the daughter of Shanghai City's top businesswoman, Zheng Ro. Saving Zheng Ro's daughter meant she wouldn't treat him badly. She'd probably give him enough money to go to any college he wanted. Where are my clothes? I'm getting discharged, Xia said firmly. He didn't want to miss his chance to test. He'd studied hard because he'd promised his father he'd get into college, even if grads had high unemployment rates. His dad still wanted him to go. His father had been strict with him. He might not be a master of everything, but he'd learned a little about everything, even the 5 elements, the 8 trigrams, and the Book of Changes. Your clothes were thrown away. You can't leave yet, she said, raising her chin in defiance. Xia Tian was taken aback. At first, the nurse was confused, but then she realized he was talking about her, and that he even knew the color of her underwear. Yu reading www.yuukangshu.com. She quickly checked her clothes, but nothing was gone. She then noticed that Xia had a nosebleed. She clutched her clothes. Even though they were still there, she covered them anyway. What's going on? Dr. Li opened the door and saw the nurse yelling, but his eyes went straight to Xia, who was out of bed and bleeding. Who told you to get up? You need to rest. Doctor, I'm leaving, Xia said. No, you're not healed. You can't, Dr. Li said. He couldn't let Xia leave. President Zheng had ordered him cured. What would he say? I have to get out of here. You trying to hold me prisoner? He took a tentative step toward the door, still sore from his injuries. No, it's not like that. You're not healed yet. You could do permanent damage, Dr. Li said. I know my body. It's not that bad. I'll just take it easy, Xia said. He had to go back and study, and to figure out this X-ray vision thing. Xia was insistent. Dr. Li didn't know what to do. They were a hospital, not a jail. Okay, wait here. I'll call President Zheng, Dr. Li said, pulling out his phone. Just then, the door opened again, and in walked a stunning woman. Chapter 2, Hit Me With Money. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Beauty, that's the first feeling you get in summer. Summer hates when women overdo their makeup, but this woman in front of him wasn't wearing much at all, yet she radiated beauty. It was exquisite, but it wouldn't be so striking without the green leaves setting it off. The big beauties on TV couldn't even compare. It was a whole different level of beauty, and her figure was perfect too. Unlike the nurse, whose clothes just contained her shape, this woman used her clothes to perfectly accentuate hers. Her clothes and makeup were just accessories. Xia wasn't the only one captivated, even Dr. Li was staring. He quickly snapped back to reality, lowered his head, and avoided looking at her. Mrs. Zheng, you're here. Yes, thank you, Dr. Li. Mrs. Zheng's voice was like a songbird, capable of bewitching your soul. Mrs. Zeng, you're just in time. This young man is trying to leave the hospital against medical advice. I tried to dissuade him, but he wouldn't listen. I was about to call President Zeng. Dr. Li still didn't dare look up, he knew he couldn't directly face her beauty. They were on completely different planes. Mrs. Zeng was a legend. She entered the business world at 18, and the Zeng family's wealth grew exponentially. She married at 25, but her husband died less than 2 weeks later. At 30, she was already a major power player in Jianghai City. You're still injured. Why are you leaving? Zeng Ro looked at Xia with a puzzled expression. I have things to do. The college entrance exam is in a couple of weeks. Xia resisted the urge to use his see-through vision on Mrs. Zeng, because her current attire was too alluring for him. The college entrance exam? Forget it. Stay here and recover. Once you're healed, I'll arrange for you to attend the best university and give you a generous thank you gift. Zeng Ro remained expressionless. She wasn't a nice person, or she never would have succeeded in business. She believed everything had a price. Xia had saved her daughter, and she was grateful, but her way of showing it was to provide the best treatment and then hand over a pile of cash. Xia hated it when people tried to buy him. Even his girlfriend had left him for money. I don't need it. Xia's face hardened. Even though he was broke, he'd never take someone's money. Saving the girl was his decision, and he would have done it for anyone. That's how his father raised him. He taught him not to pick on the weak, but to stand up to the powerful. His change in demeanor stunned them all. Anyone else would have jumped at the chance. 1 million. Zeng Ro noticed his reaction, but she didn't believe anyone in the world could resist money. She'd seen too many so-called gentlemen, and they always disappointed her in the end. They just hadn't been offered enough. Humph. Xia Tian snorted, didn't say a word, and continued toward the exit, moving steadily but not rushing. 2 million. Zeng Ro upped the offer, her face still betraying no emotion. Xia didn't respond this time, but walked straight to the door. 5 million. Zeng Ro immediately raised the bid to 5 million. Xia stopped and turned around. Seeing him turn, a hint of disdain touched Zeng Ro's face. The nurse and Dr. Li nodded in agreement. In their opinion, no one could refuse that kind of money. I'll have someone wire you the money and arrange for you to attend the best university in Jianghai. Zeng Ro was confident. She saw Xia's hesitation as a sign of greed. He was just trying to drive up the price. Xia Tian walked toward Zeng Ro, and when he reached her, he suddenly turned to the nurse. Can you lend me 100 yuan? I promise I'll pay you back. Ah. The nurse was taken aback, but she handed over 100 yuan bill. Thanks. My name is Xia. He smiled at the nurse, then turned and left the room, leaving all three speechless, including the beautiful Zeng Ro. She thought she knew what was going on, but she was wrong. When she saw Xia turn around, she thought she had him, but now she felt like a failure. Xia didn't turn around for the 5 million, but to borrow 100 yuan from the nurse. Zeng Ro's face flushed, and she stormed out. It was the first time she'd met someone like Xia. What a weirdo, the nurse muttered to herself. After leaving the hospital, Xia hailed a taxi and went to his cousin's place. He couldn't stay at his job with his injuries, so he had no choice but to crash with her. Xia Tian's aunt was loaded. She bought the house for him and his cousin, and it was decorated with the best of everything. That was why Xia didn't like coming back. He felt like he didn't belong there. He usually only earned a little over 1,000 yuan a month working part-time, but it was his money, and he didn't have to worry about anything when he spent it. His cousin wasn't home yet. Luckily, he knew the door code, or he would have been locked out. After changing clothes, he opened the closet. Most of the clothes were expensive brands, all bought by his cousin. He never wore them. He found a few plain outfits at the bottom of the closet. The most expensive one cost just over 100 yuan, but he felt comfortable in it. Opening the drawer, he found a small box. Inside was a blue necklace. When he held it in his palm, it emitted a sky-blue light. His father had given it to him. Tianer, if you ever face a crisis you can't overcome or are seriously injured, put this on. Your mother left it for you. That's what his father had said when he gave him the necklace. He also told him that unless it was an emergency, he shouldn't wear it and should take good care of his mother's last gift. Father, I need to wear it today. Xia Tian put the necklace around his neck. It flashed, and then he passed out. When he woke up, it was dark, and he realized all his wounds were gone. It seemed like a dream, but he understood immediately. The light on the necklace was gone, turning it a dark blue, and his skin felt like it was peeling. He rubbed at the skin around the wound, and it flaked away, leaving no scar. Xia Tian rubbed the other wounds, and they disappeared too, the bruises and swelling gone. I've only heard of snakes shedding their skin. Why am I shedding mine? I should wash it off. Xia found the shed skin disgusting, and he headed for the bathroom. Just then, the bathroom door opened, and a beautiful woman stepped out. She was wrapped in a towel and nearly collided with Xia. Ah! A high-pitched scream echoed. What's wrong? What happened? Xia's cousin rushed out of her room, and seeing the two in front of her, she knew what was going on. Okay, Bing Xian, stop yelling. He's my cousin. Xia Tian, when did you get back? I didn't see you here today. Xia's cousin, Yi Qingxue, strode to the girl named Bing Xian. Here all day. Xia was confused. He looked at the date on the wall and realized he'd been unconscious for 2 days, so, it wasn't a dream. He had saved a little girl and been injured and hospitalized. The girl's mother had tried to give him 5 million, but he turned it down. Most importantly, he now had see-through eyes and a mysterious blue necklace. Thinking of that, his see-through vision suddenly activated. Winnie the Pooh underwear. What caught Xia's attention was Bing Xian's panties, confirming he wasn't hallucinating. Hearing Xia's words, the two women's expressions changed. Xia Tian, you're a pervert. I'm going to teach you a lesson. Yi Qingxue rolled up her sleeves and lunged at Xia, but he was surprised to find his cousin moving so slowly. His eyes were drawn to the inside of her arm, and an inexplicable urge popped into his head, telling him that attacking there would stop her. Of course, he wouldn't do that, so he dodged past her and ran into the bathroom. He couldn't explain it. He knew he was right. If he told his cousin he was guessing, she wouldn't believe him, but if he said he could see through things, everyone in the world would know because of her personality. Then he would become a guinea pig, someone to be experimented on. Inside the bathroom, Xia looked at his necklace. The light was completely gone. Before, a sky-blue light would appear whenever he picked it up, but now, no matter what he did, it wouldn't happen. Could it be related to my injury? Xia realized instantly. He was injured at first, but after wearing the necklace, his wounds healed, and the light disappeared. So, that's what my father meant. This necklace can heal my wounds. Xia Tian gripped the necklace tightly. Chapter 3, Hot Pepper. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After a good night's sleep, Xia woke up totally refreshed at 6 in the morning. He decided to go for a run before heading to school. He threw on some athletic clothes and headed downstairs. His cousin and her friend were still asleep next door. Since using the necklace, Xia felt lighter and stronger. He used to struggle to do 20 push-ups, but this morning he knocked out 100 without breaking a sweat. He went to the park near his place and started warming up. He was surprised to find that everything felt easier than before. He noticed an old man watching him from a distance. The old man smiled and nodded when Xia looked his way, and Xia nodded back and kept exercising. Young man, you're in good shape. Were you in the military? The old man asked, approaching him. Nope, I'm only 19, Xia replied, continuing his stretches. Impressive, being that fit without military training, the old man said with admiration. He started doing Tai Chi next to Xia. His movements were slow, but they gave Xia a strange, almost mystical feeling. Hey kid, you wanna spar a little? The old man asked suddenly. I probably shouldn't, Xia Xian said. He knew how much stronger he had become, and he was worried about hurting the old man. What's wrong? Scared you might hurt me? The old man smirked, then kicked a stone bench beside him. The bench slid a good 15 feet before stopping. Xia Xian was stunned. That bench must have weighed hundreds of pounds, yet the old man had sent it flying with a single kick. This was definitely no ordinary guy. He'd heard stories about martial arts masters, but as he got older, he'd figured they were just that, stories. But this old man was the real deal. Then again, maybe it wasn't so surprising. His eyes could see through things, so why couldn't this exist? Xia Xian had never really fought anyone before. Now, faced with a legendary martial arts master, he was itching for a fight. Alright, I'd be honored to learn from you, Xia Xian said respectfully. Good, you're neither arrogant nor reckless, the old man replied approvingly, taking a fighting stance. Xia Xian, having no martial arts training, threw a simple punch. The old man didn't even move his feet. He deflected Xia Xian's punch and sent him flying. Xia Xian, now physically enhanced, landed on his feet after a quick somersault. Nice move. The old man exclaimed. Xia Xian knew he couldn't underestimate the old man. He hadn't moved an inch, yet he'd easily nullified his punch. This time, Xia Xian faked a jab and went for the old man's legs. The old man saw it coming and kicked Xia Xian's leg away, sending him tumbling backward. Amazing, Xia Xian thought, catching himself on the ground. He's got no weaknesses. No matter where I attack, he counters perfectly. Suddenly, Xia Xian's vision kicked in, and countless lines appeared in his mind, showing the old man's attack patterns. Seeing these trajectories, a smile spread across Xia Xian's face, and he threw a punch. The old man hastily stepped back, as if Xia Xian's punch had found a fatal flaw. In his mind, the attack routes kept appearing. When the old man stood still, his Tai Chi was almost flawless. But the moment he moved, openings appeared. Xia Xian seized the opportunity and launched a barrage of attacks, putting the old man on the defensive. The old man felt like he was constantly in danger. Okay, enough. The old man said, waving his hands. Xia Xian stopped his attack. Xia Xian felt fantastic. It was exhilarating to trade blows with the old man. He may not have known martial arts, but his clairvoyance had helped him find the weaknesses in the old man's defense. The old man was even more shocked. He knew his Taijiquan well. While he wasn't exactly a martial arts expert, it was usually impossible for ordinary people to get close to him. He could easily take on 3 or 4 veterans. He could tell the young man in front of him wasn't trained in martial arts, yet he'd been able to break through his Taijiquan. Young man, what's your name? The old man asked. I'm Xia Xian, Xia Xian replied. Xia Xian, good name. Call me Lao Fan, old fan. I'm curious, how did you break through my Taijiquan? I just got lucky, Xia Xian said, not wanting to reveal his clairvoyance. It was just a fluke. If we fought again, I wouldn't land a single blow. The younger generation always surpasses the old. You've got a good head on your shoulders, and you know how to respect your elders. If you ever find yourself at Green Forest Villa, come find Old Man Fan. The old man smiled, clearly impressed. Thank you, sir. I've got to run, Xia Xian said. He left the park and grabbed breakfast at a nearby shop, buying extra for his cousin and her friend. When he got back, they were still asleep, so he left the food in the living room, changed, and hurried to school. Xia Xian attended Jianghai High School, the best in the city. He'd gotten in on his own merit, and he consistently ranked in the top 10, with the college entrance exams just around the corner. He hadn't been to school in almost 2 weeks, so he needed to check in with his homeroom teacher. Xia Xian was a good student, and his teacher accepted his explanation and told him to head back to class. With just 12 days until the exams, the teachers had taken a step back, letting the students study on their own or take practice tests. In the classroom, Xia Xian spotted a familiar face, Wenya, the class representative and his ex-girlfriend. He still didn't understand why she had dumped him for Su Xiaocong, a rich kid, but that was in the past. Wenya had broken up with him, and she had noticed him too. She had felt a pang of guilt, thinking something bad had happened to him. She was relieved to see he was okay. Wenya came from a poor family. She'd thought she and Xia Xian could work hard together to build a better future. Then she met Su Xiaocong and realized the power of money. Even if she and Xia Xian worked their whole lives, they wouldn't make as much as Su Xiaocong spent in a year. She had never experienced that kind of wealth before, and she liked it. All that talk about studying hard, getting a good job, and working her way up seemed pointless. Su Xiaocong could get her a job that paid 20,000 a month without her even trying, and if she married him, she'd be set for life. Her parents wouldn't have to struggle so much, and even her younger brother could find a wife. That's why she had chosen to leave Xia Xian. He was kind and hardworking, but he couldn't give her what she wanted. Xia Xian tried not to think about her. They were on different paths now. Wenya, I brought you something, a French breakfast, Su Xiaocong said as he walked into the class. He put the fancy breakfast on her desk and noticed Xia Xian. Of course he knew who Xia Xian was, Wenya's ex. Oh, look who it is. Xia Xian. I thought you were going to off yourself after the breakup. Xiaocong, stop it, Wenya said softly. Humph, can't even hold on to your girlfriend. What's the point of being smart? Su Xiaocong sneered. Okay, Xiaocong, let's eat. Don't talk about it, Wenya said. Even though she'd broken up with Xia Xian, she didn't want him to get into trouble with Su Xiaocong because of her. Hey, Su Xiaocong. How dare you act tough in my territory? You're asking for it. A tough girl stood in the doorway. She had short hair and wore edgy clothes. Her name was Huachili. Xia Xian had never understood how anyone could have that last name. Nobody at school messed with Huachili. Rumor had it that her family was connected to the underworld, and anyone who crossed her ended up disappearing. Huachili, stay out of this. This isn't your business, Su Xiaocong said, not wanting to lose face in front of Wenya. Usually, he avoided Huachili, but he wasn't about to back down now. Oh, but it is my business. What are you going to do about it? Two equally intimidating girls appeared behind Huachili. The three of them walked over to Xia Xian, Huachili leading the way. Hey, you stepped on my foot, Xia Xian said, looking at Huachili. Chapter 4, 1-on-4. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Huachili stepped on Xia Xia's foot, and when Xia Xia pointed it out, she quickly moved her foot, then realized a problem. He didn't seem grateful at all, and just complained about getting stepped on. Xia Xia, I'm sticking up for you. How can you talk to me like that? Huachili had a famously short fuse. You've got the wrong idea, Xia Xia started to explain, hoping to avoid trouble. Huachili, this is your turf. I didn't think the big boss of Jianghai High School, Huachili, couldn't even handle some small fry. Su Xiaocong stood up. Xiaoya, I'm gonna head out, so I don't hold up the queen from doing her thing. Su Xiaocong, I'll deal with you later. Huachili glared at Su Xiaocong and turned her attention back to Xia Xia. They say ignorance is bliss, and you're living proof. What's the point of being smart if you get pushed around and don't say anything? And then you talk back to me when I'm sticking up for you. You have bad breath. Xia Xia frowned, avoiding her gaze. He figured she must have been eating stinky tofu. Are you trying to make me lose it? You think I won't beat you? Huachili gritted her teeth. Even though she'd been in the same grade as Xia Xia for 3 years, she'd never actually talked to him. She'd come out today to help him. And this is how he repays her, by calling her out on her breath. Sis, I'll take care of this punk for you. One of Huachili's sidekicks, ready to rumble, rolled up her sleeves. Huachili's crew might have a less than mainstream look, but they were tough. Ranking near the bottom of the class, they were fierce fighters. Hold up. Huachili glanced at Xia. Let's go. Someone else will take care of him. Xia shook his head, understanding what she meant. Su Xiaozong had clearly been trying to stir up trouble, but Huachili held back because she knew Su Xiaozong was bait, but now that she gave the go-ahead, Su Xiaozong would definitely not let it go. Alright, everyone. Class is over. Time for today's practice test. The teacher walked in, the three of them still milling around outside. He didn't say anything, he was used to it. You two, get back in there and take the test, or I'll lose my first place, Hot Chili said with a cocky grin. Her first place was always last place. Every time there was a test, she had to get last place in the class. Her two minions were second and third from last. Yes, sis. The two girls went back to class, but they both left after scribbling nonsense on two questions. Xia Tian looked at the test, and a flood of solutions instantly appeared in his mind. He knew all the answers already, but his brain worked so fast, it was just instant calculations. 30 minutes later, he finished the test. After double-checking, he handed it in. Xia Tian, did you even check your work? Why are you handing it in so fast? The teacher frowned. If Xia Tian answered that quickly, he probably didn't do well. Have you been getting enough rest? Don't forget to keep studying. The college entrance exam is coming up, and we're expecting a lot from you. Teacher, I'm finished with the test. Can I start on the other subjects now? Xia Tian wanted to try other tests to see if his mind still had the same abilities. Already done. Wait, let me take a look. The teacher picked up Xia's paper and quickly scanned it. Seeing that the paper was all filled out and clean, he handed Xia the test for the next subject. Just like Xia had expected, everything came to him in an instant. He didn't even need to think, he just grabbed a pen, quickly acing the other subject tests. After he finished the test, Xia headed home. The teacher had sent the paper to the other teacher and found that Xia answered all the questions correctly. He was able to answer all the questions in such a short period of time. It was definitely not cheating. As soon as he stepped out of the building, he saw a familiar face, Su Xiaozong. There were 4 goons behind him, all thick-set and tough. Sis, can't we help him? Huachili and her posse watched from a distance. Let him handle it. That nose-in-the-air jerk needs to get knocked down a peg. We'll step in if things get out of hand, Hot Chili said. Xia Tian, what a shame you never even got to touch Huanya. That stuff is the best. Su Xiaozong looked at Xia and said. She's nothing to me anymore. Do whatever you want. You don't need to tell me. Xia smiled. He'd already decided that the Xia who had been blinded by love had died in that car accident. Xia Tian wouldn't do anything for that elegant woman. Even though you weren't even a worthy rival for me, and you already lost, the one thing that I hate the most is someone even thinking about my plaything. The corner of Su Xiaozong's mouth tilted into a smirk, and his crew moved toward Xia Tian. Even though it was the school's simulation class time, there were still many people watching, but everyone was staying far away. Naturally, many of them knew Su Xiaozong. Su Xiaozong was a big deal at Jianghai High School, and no one dared to mess with him. These 4 were the bullies of their class, with their crew of sycophants, but they were all obedient around Su Xiaozong. Su Xiaozong's family had connections. Xia didn't want to cause trouble, but he wasn't afraid of it either. Even though he had been weak in the past, he had always stood his ground. He might have gotten beaten, but he resisted every time. Now that his body had changed, along with his newfound eyesight, he was even less afraid. The fat guy in front of him threw a punch. Xia recalled the move Fan Lao had taught him in the park that morning. He grabbed the guy's right hand and kicked his leg, sending the fat guy flying. He flew 5 meters before he stopped, hitting the ground hard. His mass was greater than everyone else's, and the ground was concrete, so he had a tough landing. Heizi, you dare hit our brother? The other 3 were ruthless and not holding back. They kicked Xia, seeing the three of them attacking, Xia didn't back down. He swept his right leg, striking their lower body, and his fist landed on their chests. The three of them couldn't respond, even Huachili and her friends, who were just watching for fun, were stunned. Sis, did I see that right? That nerd can really fight. Those four are notoriously vicious, and he took them out that fast. Is he some kind of legendary martial arts master? I've always wanted to be a heroine. If I learned his kung fu, my dream would come true. Hot Chili imagined her martial arts era and said, let's go. He's so cool, taking on Su Xiaotsong's guys. Who the heck is he? I think I recognize him. He's a really smart kid at school. No way. That geek is actually fighting, and he's kicking ass. The spectators were talking. Su Xiaotsong was a man of power at Jianghai High School, and his four henchmen were called the Four Heavenly Kings. Today, those four were defeated by one person. You, what are you gonna do? Su Xiaotsong was starting to panic. He'd never been in this situation before. The Four Heavenly Kings were tough, but Xia took them all out in seconds. He'd looked into Xia's background. He was just an ordinary poor kid without connections. How could he be so good at fighting? What am I doing? Xia smiled and walked past Su Xiaotsong. Careful, you might get diarrhea when you go back. Diarrhea? Xia, what are you up to? I'm warning you, you can't afford to mess with me. Don't let me see you again, or you'll regret it. Su Xiaotsong thought about his family's backing, and the fear Xia had triggered was replaced by anger. He wasn't afraid anymore. At Jianghai High School, no one would touch him except Huachili. Dish a bag. Xia walked away. Xia, wait up. Hot Chili hurried after him, but Xia didn't stop. Did you hear me? Stop right there. Hot Chili grabbed him, hugging him tightly. You're not even wearing a bra. Xia's sight passed through Hot Chili's clothes, revealing that she was wearing a small camisole underneath. Ah! Pervert! Hot Chili shouted. Chapter 5, Scratch. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Her shout immediately turned heads, and everyone clearly heard his name. At Jianghai High, everyone knew Huachili and Su Xiaotsong were the big names, but Xia had not only taken down Su Xiaotsong's four kings but also, unbelievably, messed with Huachili. Now, right before college entrance exams, Xia was infamous at Jianghai High. Look, I didn't even touch you. You were the one clinging to me and saying inappropriate things, Xia said, exasperated. He knew Hot Chili had a fiery reputation, but he didn't expect her to be so unreasonable. You almost make a point, Hot Chili muttered, then snapped back. No way. You're not getting off the hook unless you promise to teach me martial arts. Teach you martial arts? What makes you think I know martial arts? Xia didn't know squat. He'd swiped those moves from Mr. Fan that morning. Of course, you do. What you did back there, taking down Su Xiaotsong's four kings in seconds. Hot Chili got all worked up just thinking about it. Meanwhile, elsewhere. Elder Fan, we've got everything. Spill it. Xia, male, 19. His mother vanished after he was born. His father died in an accident when he was 14. He's currently a student at Jianghai High, with excellent grades. Half a month ago, he rescued the daughter of Zheng Ro, the chairwoman of the powerful Zheng family. He left the hospital before Zheng Ro could even pay him. He lives with his cousin and works odd jobs to get by. What about his parents? Anything? Negative. It's all encrypted. His father's file is A-level encrypted, his mother's is S-level. We don't have the clearance. Understood. What's the situation with Quicksand lately? Quicksand seems to have him on their radar, but they're probably not going to move on him just yet. They seem to be after something, not his life. Things are getting dicey in Jianghai City. I'm pulling out. You stay and protect Xiaofeng and the others. Anyone who messes with them gets taken out. Master, he's super sensitive to us. You know how well-trained Master is. Our guys have all been taught a lesson by him. Then keep your distance, especially from quicksand. Aside from them, no one in Jianghai City dares touch my son. At the same time, at quicksand, Jianghai City's top assassin organization. Lord Hidden Bat, when do we strike? Not yet. Keep an eye on him, and once you locate the scroll, move immediately. Hidden Bat was cloaked in black, shrouded in darkness and a chilling aura. Understood. And one more thing, watch that kid. If anyone else takes an interest, eliminate them. Hidden Bat's tone was ice cold, and the potted plant in front of him instantly withered. Unaware that Jianghai City was on the verge of chaos, Xia had barely managed to shake off hot chili. She wasn't grabbing him anymore, but she was glued to his heels. She'd chased away her two fanboy friends, but she wasn't letting Xia out of her sight. Master, when are you going to teach me kung fu? Hot chili bounced around him. I told you, I'm not your master. And those two moves are for my future wife and kids, Xia said, wishing she would just go away. Then, Master, take me. Hot chili went into full-on damsel mode. I'm not a priest, what do you want from me? Xia wanted to get a new cell phone, he needed a replacement. He didn't have many contacts, but his aunt and cousin needed to be able to reach him. I mean, if you marry me, you can teach me your kung fu. Hot chili's head was filled with visions of mastering martial arts and becoming a badass heroine. Xia eyed hot chili up and down. No offense, but you're lacking in the curves department, and let's just say you're no beauty queen. No way I'd marry you. Hot chili checked herself out. Master, don't be so picky. I'm a girl, aren't I? Lower your standards a little. Hot chili grabbed Xia's arm, pleading. Fine. I'll show you those two moves sometime, when I have a spare moment, Xia said as he headed to the mobile phone store. Master, look. Scratch-offs. Let's buy some. Hot chili squealed when she saw the lottery tickets outside the store. You're not hurting for cash. What do you need those for? Xia asked, frowning. He didn't know the whole story about hot chili, but he knew some of the legends. Rumor had it that her family was rolling in dough and maybe even connected to the underworld, and she was notorious for blowing through money. Someone like her wouldn't be hard up. I just love that thrill and excitement. Hot chili dragged Xia over. Wait, I could try seeing through these. Xia thought suddenly. He'd only used his X-ray vision for peeping and fighting. He hadn't checked if it worked on other stuff. Gimme some of these. Hot chili was all hyped up and started scratching right away. She went through several different ones without winning anything. My luck sucks. Hot chili complained. Meanwhile, Xia asked for 3 cards. What's this? I thought you weren't playing. Hot chili eyed Xia suspiciously. Xia said nothing, just scratched off the first one, nothing. Then he scratched the second one, still nothing. Scratch-offs. That's a fool's game. You could buy a lottery ticket every day for a year and still never win $1. A guy next to Xia scoffed. He was also scratching, but he'd picked the same type every time. When kids daydream about getting rich, it's like throwing money down the drain, the guy sneered. Don't talk to me like that, mister. Hot chili was about to lose it, but then she saw the prize on Xia's third ticket. He'd won $800. You won, master. You actually won. Hot chili yelled. Humph, beginner's luck. The guy was green with envy, jealousy, and hate. He just wanted to sound like a veteran, but now the kid had won. Cash me out for 700, and give me 10 of these, Xia said, pointing to the ones he wanted. Master, I heard winning the lottery drains your luck. You shouldn't keep playing, Hot Chili said, acting like a seasoned gambler. Xia just smiled. He'd already tested it, and the clairvoyance really worked on the tickets. He'd bought 3 just now because he'd spotted the one with the $800 prize. If he'd just bought that one, it would have been too obvious. But with 3 together, it just looked like a fluke. After cashing in, he used his vision again. This time, he saw 2 $2,000 tickets and one $1,000 ticket, and they were all right next to each other, so he specifically asked for 10 of those. Scratch-off sellers love customers like you, easy money, the guy said. He'd just scratched off all his tickets and hadn't won a thing. He was even more jealous of Xia, so he bought 10 of the same tickets as him. Xia scratched 7 in a row without hitting anything. Hot Chili shook her head, while the other guy won $50. Then, Xia scratched his 8th card, and boom, $1,000. Before Hot Chili could even react, he scratched the 9th, $2,000. Even the ticket seller was stunned. The guy who'd been buying with Xia forgot all about his own tickets and just gawked at Xia, the 10th. Another $2,000, 3 winners in a row for a total of $5,000. That was rare. Even Hot Chili, who could talk the ear off a brass monkey, was speechless. Xia cashed everything in, and Hot Chili still hadn't snapped out of it. The guy who'd been buying tickets with him had won $50 on 10 tickets. He slunk away in shame. After winning $5,800, Xia walked into the mobile phone store. The people in the store noticed the 2 kids walk in, not dressed in anything fancy. And Hot Chili's get up. Forget about it, so, nobody gave them the time of day. These kids are getting younger every year. Look at her outfit, she's a poser. Yeah, so many people just coasting these days. Bet whatever phone they can afford costs like $100. Why bother? That the salespeople weren't about to waste their time on Xia. This was a big store that sold different brands, all starting at $1,000 or more. Finally, a girl who looked like a newbie salesperson approached Xia. She wasn't much to look at, but she had a sweet smile. Hey, what kind of phone are you looking for? Chapter 6, Antique 1 Street. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xia's senses were sharper than ever. He picked up on every sneer and judgmental glance, understanding exactly what these people were thinking. My clothes are too cheap. In their eyes, I probably can't even afford a phone here. I'm looking for a smartphone with more features. Graduation was around the corner, and a better phone would really come in handy. We have plenty of full-featured phones. What's your price range? I can recommend something. The salesperson had a bright smile and a helpful attitude. He noticed she was an intern with a name tag. She hadn't made any sales yet, because other employees always swooped in on customers first. I'm thinking around 5,800 yuan. He'd just won that money and figured he'd treat himself to a decent phone. 5,008. The salesperson seemed surprised. She hadn't expected him to actually buy anything, just figured she could practice her sales pitch. The other salespeople overheard, paused, and then a senior salesperson's face practically did a 180, plastered with a fake smile. But her heavy makeup couldn't hide the wrinkles. Hey there, let me show you some options. I'm sure I can find something you'll love. She oozed charm, but as she approached, Xia could see the pockmarks on her face. Could you back off a little? Your face looks like a train wreck, it's kinda scary. Xia hated people like her. They ignored him because of his clothes, but now that he was buying an expensive phone, she was all over him. You dare talk to me like that? Do you know who I am? The woman's face flushed red. She never got treated like this, especially not with a car wreck face comment. Other salespeople looked at Xia with pity. This woman was known to be a real piece of work. It wasn't about her power, but her boyfriend, Brother Biao, a local tough guy. She was pushing 50 but tried to look 30 with layers of makeup. No one dared to cross her. She'd muscle in on sales and skim profits, and everyone just took it. But this high school kid dared to insult her. "You'll regret this, kid. I'm gonna deal with you." She pulled out her phone and dialed a number. "Dude, 5,800 is enough for AP5. Just get AP5. The intern, Fire Pepper, had ignored the senior salesperson from the start. In her eyes, the woman wasn't even worth her time. P5? Xia had heard of it. Some people had supposedly sold a kidney to buy one, hence the nickname Kidney 5. Sounds good. Let's do it, miss. Here's the cash. I need to get a SIM card first. The intern finally snapped to attention, took the money, and started processing the sale. If you want a really good phone, I can buy it for you. Name anything, and it's yours. Consider it my apprenticeship fee. Fire Pepper stuck close to Xia. I don't take handouts, Xia said, glancing at her. And I haven't agreed to take you on. Then why are you even considering it? She bounced around in front of him. I'll teach you a couple moves later, and when you've mastered them, maybe. Plus, I need to observe you. He got his new SIM card, easy with his ID. The intern put it in the P5 and tested it out, smooth as butter. The P5 was better than his old Nokia in every way. Besides calls and texts, the Nokia's main feature was its durability. He was about to leave when two figures appeared at the entrance. One was shirtless, sporting a dragon tattoo, a crew cut, beady eyes, and a massive beer gut. Brother Biao, you're here. This little punk was bullying me. The old woman grabbed his arm and whined like a kid. Who the hell dares mess with my woman? Brother Biao's voice boomed, drawing everyone's attention. Xia stopped and glared at the woman. Who are you calling a punk? He hated anyone disrespecting his parents. He'd never known his mother, but he knew she must have had a good reason for leaving. I'm calling you a punk, she blurted out. Brother Biao, he's bullying me. Who are you calling a he? Xia pressed. I'm calling you a he. The old woman stamped her foot. Oh, Brother Biao, you gotta do something. Brother Biao, looking menacing, waddled toward Xia. You messed with Brother Biao's woman. That was a death wish. Fire Pepper, I'm only doing this once. Watch carefully, then go practice it yourself. Xia was half the guy's size, but he didn't back down. Instead, he took a step forward. Brother Biao went for a kick. His usual tactic was intimidation through size and voice, followed by a sudden sucker punch. It never failed. As Brother Biao's foot flew toward Xia, some people looked away. But Xia moved, deflecting the kick with his right hand while simultaneously kicking Brother Biao's left leg. The huge man went flying backward, crashing into the door. Master, that was awesome. Fire Pepper gushed. Brother Biao. The old woman ran to his side. You little. Brother Biao struggled to his feet. He was scraped up, but nothing serious. He knew he couldn't back down. The old woman supported him, and if he admitted defeat, who would provide for him? The phone rang. It was that generic ringtone the intern had downloaded. Hey, cuz. Yeah, I lost my phone a while back. Just got a new one, replaced the card. Tonight, you still want me to go? Alright, send the address. While Xia was talking, Brother Biao saw an opening and charged again. Xia braced himself, shoulder-checking the man's left shoulder, and then kicking his left leg again. The unbalanced Brother Biao went sprawling, hitting the ground hard a couple meters away. Master, you're so cool. Fire Pepper was ecstatic. Yeah, whatever. See you tonight. Xia hung up, glanced at Brother Biao sprawled on the ground, and walked away. Master, wait for me. Fire Pepper ran after him. Don't follow me. I just showed you those two moves. Go back and practice. If you follow me, I won't take you on. Xia warned. Truth was, he didn't know that much kung fu himself, He just copied the moves from Mr. Fan that morning. Dejected, Fire Pepper had to stay behind. Xia hailed a cab to the most famous antique street in Shanghai City, known for its potential treasures. Rumor had it that people bought items for next to nothing and sold them for millions. These stories drew crowds, hoping to strike it rich. Xia figured his new perspective ability might give him an edge. The allure of instant wealth kept the street bustling. His cousin's birthday party was tonight, something he'd forgotten. She'd just called and chewed him out, so he decided to find her a nice gift here. Plus, she wanted him to pretend to be her boyfriend, which complicated things even more. Chapter 7, Old Buddha Toshiko. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Antique Street sits on the edge of Shanghai City, far from downtown, but bustling with activity. The street is lined with large antique and rare item shops, their entrances spilling out with countless smaller stalls. These stalls are the big draw. Even the shops that might stay closed most of the year will set up their own outside. They're packed with everything imaginable, mostly junk, with only a rare genuine treasure hidden among the fakes. All sorts of characters hawk their wares here. The place is said to be beyond the government's reach, but no one dares cause trouble because it's run by a local boss everyone calls Old Shui. Some tried to use the place for smuggling and dealing, but they vanished without a trace. Old Shui once said, "This place stays clean." Finding fakes is part of the game, but Shui doesn't tolerate anything illegal. Because he keeps things in order, the government leaves them alone. Transactions are tax-free, and you don't have to worry about thieves. They wouldn't dare mess with Old Shui's territory. The taxi driver dropped Xia off, shaking his head as he drove away. He pegged Xia as another hopeful dreaming of striking it rich, and he felt sorry for the kid walking into a place where so many go bust. Lots of people come here looking for a score, but most end up broke. It's like a giant casino, except that anyone with half a brain can spot the scams. Stepping onto Antique Street, Xia was met with a sea of people and countless stalls lining both sides of the road. Each stall, though small, was carefully arranged, showcasing different items, and vendors were shouting their wares. Qing Dynasty porcelain. Bodhi seeds. Ming Dynasty vases. Qing Dynasty swords. The calls rang out, and Xia smiled. If these things were real, they wouldn't be sitting on stalls outside. They'd be sold inside for a premium price. Even good fakes wouldn't be this cheap. This is definitely the right place. As Xia walked deeper, he activated his special vision. Streaks of cyan light flickered around him. As he suspected, genuine items emitted this light, due to the spiritual energy they'd absorbed over time. "Hey, it's Master Su Dechuan, the treasure appraiser." Someone shouted, and heads turned toward Xia, then to the old man behind him. The old man, dressed in a tang suit, looked like a wise elder straight out of the 60s. He had a distinctive goatee. For burly bodyguards flanked him, he moved with a measured pace, while the crowd looked on with envy, parting to make way for him. Only Xia stood his ground. "Kid, get out of the way for Master Su." Someone yelled. Xia ignored him and kept walking. He didn't care who this old man was, it had nothing to do with him. He was here to buy something, and his actions stood out. The street was packed, but everyone made way for Master Su. Now, Xia was strolling right down the middle of the path of honor, as if the expert was his sidekick. Old Master Su stopped, stunned. It was the first time someone had walked ahead of him like that. "Hey, didn't you see this is Master Su's path?" A bodyguard stepped forward, blocking Xia's way. Some newbie who doesn't know any better, walking in front of Master Su. Doesn't respect his elders. Master Su is helping everyone here get rich. A greenhorn who's too ignorant to know better. Someone with the high moral standing of Master Su walks here, everyone is willing to make a way. He actually dares to steal his shine. People glared at Xia. The treasure appraiser Su Dechuan was a legend on Antique Street. He knew everything about antiques from every dynasty, and he knew about all sorts of different treasures. Every time he came here, he'd pick 3 people to help them find 3 treasures for free. That's why he was so respected. Xia kept his eyes on a particular booth and veered off to the side. Seeing him move, the bodyguard said nothing. Everyone assumed the newcomer had realized his mistake and was now getting out of the way. The bodyguard was praised for his reasonable behavior. "That's Master Su's bodyguard for you. So classy. He didn't embarrass the kid." "Yeah, Master Su's guards are carefully selected. They're skilled and have good manners. That kid was disrespectful." If Master Su had gotten angry and left, the crowd would have torn him apart. Master Su seemed to bask in the praise. He continued his stroll, shopkeepers greeting him, and he'd nod in acknowledgement. "How much for this?" Xia asked, pointing to a fish-shaped jade pendant. It was a simple piece, like a child's toy. The stall owner's face lit up. "You have a good eye. This is the most valuable piece on my stall. It's carved from Tiantan jade from the western regions. It'll keep you healthy." He knew he had a live one on the hook and began to spin his tail. This kid was obviously a newbie, a sucker for anything, the perfect mark. "How much?" Xia asked. "Seeing your sincerity, I'll let it go for 8,000. For anyone else, it'd be 10,000 minimum." He threw out the 8,000 knowing the kid couldn't afford it, just to set the stage for haggling. 8,000 is way too much. I'm still in high school. I don't have that kind of money." Xia played along. Just then, Master Su stopped and eyed the jade pendant. He smirked. It was a cheap trinket sold for $20 a pop. Only a fool like Xia would fall for it. Though he knew the truth, he kept quiet, waiting to see what would happen. The stunt Xia had pulled walking in front of him earlier had annoyed him. If he wasn't maintaining his professional image, he'd have his bodyguards teach the kid a lesson. Now that the kid was getting scammed, he wasn't about to stop it. The stall owner saw Master Su's smirk and started sweating. He knew his scam was up. He just hoped the master appraiser wouldn't expose him. "How about 200? I know it's a fake." Xia whispered with a smile. The stall owner knew his expression had given him away, but he still tried to bump up the price. "Little brother is sharp, but this jade pendant is worth more than that. You can go check out some other shops." "Alright, 500, but I'll take those stones as a free gift." Xia pointed to some plain, worthless rocks the stall owner had put out for decoration. "Little brother is a pleasure to do business with." Xia handed over the 500 in cash and pocketed the stones. Master Su smiled, walked over, and said, "Son, you're too young and inexperienced for this place. You're overpaying by 480 for a $20 piece. I'm afraid you are one of the few who would buy it." "Oh, really?" Xia smirked, loosened his grip, and let the jade pendant drop to the ground, shattering instantly. Even Master Su was taken aback. "What? You knew it was fake?" Master Su asked, confused. "Money to burn." Xia smiled. Now that he had what he wanted, the pendant was useless. One of the stones had a strong golden light radiating from within. Unlike the cyan light of other treasures, this one meant something else. The only explanation for this yellow glow was a relic, like his father told him about. And the intensity of the light suggested it was a relic of the ancient Buddha. Chapter 8, Appreciate Treasures. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Compared to the summer in Jianghai City, inside a bustling hospital. Director Li, what's the diagnosis? Mr. Su, we're stumped. Your son went downhill so fast, we barely got him into the exam room. There doesn't seem to be a thing wrong. Director Li was clearly at a loss. Poisoned, maybe. We checked for that, nothing. And he's expelling things, but there's nothing to expel. 10 pounds in one afternoon. At this rate, he won't last. The director had racked his brain, but couldn't pinpoint the problem. 10 pounds? That's insane. Su Qinghua, Su Xiaozong's father and his only heir, was beside himself. Sure, the kid was a troublemaker, but he was still his son. This sudden illness had him terrified. Sir, we questioned your son. Apparently, he argued with some student named Xia Xia at school. The student told him to watch out for diarrhea later. The Su family's butler had been busy gathering intel. "Did you send someone?" Su Qinghua asked. "Already on it. I sent Asen and 2 others." The butler made sure to emphasize that Asen wasn't just anyone, but a former Special Forces vet. Decorated with a second-class merit, he'd been forced to retire after a leg injury. Su Qinghua had once saved Asen's life. Now, Asen was completely devoted to the Su family. It was one of Su Qinghua's proudest achievements. When Asen took action, Su Qinghua could breathe easy. Meanwhile, oblivious to the target on his back, Xia Xia was thrilled with his recent purchase of an ancient Buddha relic. His father had told him about these relics, left behind by enlightened monks at death. Ancient Buddha relics were the stuff of legends. Supposedly, after the deaths of ancient gods, these relics would scatter across the land to absolve humanity's sins. Xia Xia had dismissed it as a bedtime story, but seeing the relic's brilliant glow, he knew it was the real deal. "Humph, trying to act rich with a 500 yuan trinket," Mr. Su scoffed. He'd never been hustled like that, especially by someone so young. "I heard you're a treasure appraiser, right?" Xia Xia turned to face him. He wasn't looking for trouble, but the old man seemed determined to start something. "Yep. In this antique district, everyone knows Su Dechuan," Mr. Su said proudly. His reputation was his pride and joy. Though from one of Jianghai City's top families, the Su family, he had loved antiques from a young age, leading to his brother taking the family industry from him. He had tried to regain control, but failed. After his brother's death, the family consortium passed to his nephew, Su Qinghua. Su Qinghua paid him monthly, but it was a pittance for the Su family, so he became determined to take back the family's property by obtaining money and power through his antiques business. "How about a competition?" Xia Xia suggested, amused. The old guy was interesting, and his local clout could come in handy. "A competition? Against me? About what?" Mr. Su found it hilarious. "About your area of expertise. You pick 5 items around here, and I'll identify every fake. Get one wrong, and I lose." The kid seemed to think he could beat him at his own game. "Huh, kid, you're biting off more than you can chew. And what happens if you lose?" Old Master Su asked, grinning. "If I lose, you can kill me." Xia Xia smiled slightly. "If you lose, you buy me something I want." "You're clueless." Mr. Su looked down his nose at Xia Xia. "If I win, I won't kill you. But I'll take you on as my protégé." Su Dechuan saw potential in the kid, reminding him of Asen in terms of loyalty. This could be a golden opportunity. Landing a devoted follower like Asen would be a major win. He felt confident. Even he couldn't distinguish authentic treasures from convincing fakes 100% of the time without tools. His success rate was around 10%. All he had to do was pick one genuine antique and trick the kid into misidentifying it. Getting his hands on a real antique would be easy, he thought. He just had to borrow one from a shop. He was Su Dechuan, after all. Xia Xia waited while Mr. Su chose his 5 items. News of the antique wager spread quickly, drawing a crowd of hundreds. Su Dechuan wondered how he'd gotten into this mess, but he took it seriously. He picked a trinket from an antique shop, then a few high-quality fakes. Even he couldn't tell the difference with the naked eye. He also grabbed some cheap items from a stall. The vendors, recognizing Mr. Su, tried to give them to him for free, but Su Dechuan insisted on paying 200 yuan each. "All right, kid, here's the goods. Take a look." Mr. Su's bodyguard placed 5 items on a square table in front of Xia Xia. The crowd buzzed. Most thought Xia Xia was a goner. Mr. Su was the antique expert in the district. There was no way Xia Xia could win. The 5 items were a wooden box, a large porcelain vase, a plate, a crystal-clear stone, and a bracelet. Looking at the 5 treasures, Xia Xia activated his special vision. "Well? Feeling the pressure?" "It's not too late to back out," Mr. Su said, stroking his goatee. It was a nervous tick. Xia picked up the wooden box and tossed it back. Real. Fine, you got one. It's a vanity box used by Empress Dowager Cixi. Mr. Su wasn't cheating, that would destroy his reputation. It was probably just luck, he thought, but he couldn't deny it. Some in the crowd muttered that Xia had gotten lucky. Ignoring the comments, Xia picked up the large vase. Su Dechuan grinned. Even he would have been fooled if he didn't already know it was fake. He was certain Xia would fall for it. Xia smiled as he picked up the vase. Master Su, if I think something's fake, does it matter if I break it? Of course not. It's just a fake, I can afford it. With a crash, the vase shattered on the ground. The crowd gasped, muttering curses and cries of regret. Xia ignored them and picked up a shard, revealing an inscription, made by Fong Cuzi. Everyone knew Xia had gotten it right again. Fong Cuzi was a master counterfeiter, so good that his work could only be detected with special equipment. Fong Cuzi made it. Su Dechuan was stunned. How is that possible? How did you know? Su Dechuan was surprised not just that Xia had gotten it right, but that he'd seen through a Fong Cuzi fake. Appraisal experts were graded, and he considered himself a third-class expert. Fong Cuzi's fakes were said to fool even fifth-class experts. If Xia had really spotted the fake, he was dealing with a true master. Xia shattered the plate next, revealing hidden markings. Su Dechuan was speechless, and it was evident Xia had won. Xia stepped on the stone, making it clear he knew that it was a fake. Then, he picked up the last item, the bracelet. Wait, young man, you win. Name your prize. Su Dechuan cut him off, hoping to befriend the boy. With Xia's help, his plan might actually work. Oh, thank you, Mr. Su. I like this bracelet, so I'll just take it. Xia smiled, holding up the necklace. Chapter 9, Master A 3. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This bracelet? Mr. Su looked surprised, wondering if he'd misjudged it. Could it actually be valuable? Xia didn't reply, instead biting his finger and dropping a bead of blood on the bracelet. Instantly, it glowed blood red, stunning everyone who saw it. Blood jade. Kid, I'll give you $1 million for that bracelet, a nearby shopkeeper offered, stepping forward. Hey, Kong, that's not fair. I'll go $2 million for the blood jade, another owner chimed in. Blood jade was a rare treasure with no set price, and this was a whole bracelet made of blood jade, meaning it must have come from an important source. Sorry, it's not for sale, Xia said with a smile, heading towards the street exit. It was time to leave. Seeing Xia leave Antique Street, Mr. Su and his 4 bodyguards followed. Hey, what's your name, kid? I'm Xia, he responded. Xia, I'm Su Dechuan. How about we become friends? Su Dechuan saw promise in Xia. He was convinced Xia's appraisal skills weren't just luck. He had to be a disciple of some master. Xia hadn't known much about Jianghai City, and he definitely hadn't expected to be dealing with big shots. But ever since he'd gotten those perspective eyes, the whole world had changed. And he was looking for answers. Where had his mother gone? Why had his father forbidden him from asking? And his father's death was suspicious, cremated without him even seeing the body. His aunt had just put up a gravestone. He couldn't find out anything on his own, but with Su Dechuan, he'd have more confidence. After all, Su Dechuan had connections he didn't. It would also save him a lot of trouble down the line. I'd be honored to be friends with you, Mr. Su, Xia said with a smile. He'd decided to befriend Su, but he'd have to be careful dealing with someone so cunning. Cut it out, kid. Your treasure appraising is on another level. I'm just a beginner, Mr. Su said, bowing slightly. So, Xia, who taught you? My name is Xia repeated. Right, Xia. Who's your teacher? Mr. Su pressed, curious about the master who trained such a talented disciple. He had to be a legend in the antique world. Xia's current ability was already able to identify Feng Tzuzi's fakes, meaning his potential was unlimited. Just then, a Land Rover pulled up in front of them. Antique Street was fairly remote, and though the street itself was crowded, the area outside was usually deserted. Seeing the car, Su Dechuan frowned. The door opened and 3 men in black got out. One limped noticeably. He had very short hair and, unlike the others, wore a tracksuit instead of a suit, with simple military boots. Seeing these 3, Su Dechuan involuntarily took a few steps back and his bodyguard stepped forward to protect him. The lame man glanced at Su Dechuan, then focused on Xia. "You're Xia, right? Come with me." "Come with you? Who are you?" Xia wasn't stupid, he could tell this guy was trouble. "That's Asen, Su Qinghua's personal bodyguard," Su Dechuan whispered from behind him. He knew Asen's reputation. "Su Dechuan, this isn't your business. Stay out of it, or you'll regret it," Asen warned, stepping forward. While he wasn't afraid of Su Dechuan, intervention would complicate things. "Asen, don't think Su Qinghua's backing makes you untouchable." "I'm his uncle," Su Dechuan retorted, stepping forward. He knew Xia was no ordinary guy and was likely backed by someone important. Helping Xia now would solidify their relationship. Asen might be tough, but whoever was backing Xia wouldn't be scared of him. The 2 men in black moved toward Xia, and Su Dechuan's bodyguard stepped in front of him, a fight brewing. But Asen raised his hand. "Just watch. Dealing with these guys won't take long. All of you, go together. Don't underestimate him, he's dangerous," Su Dechuan warned, frowning. He knew Asen all too well. Su Qinghua's position as head of the family was largely thanks to Asen eliminating his rivals. Su Dechuan's bodyguards were all professionals, specially trained and capable of taking on multiple opponents. They were there to protect him. Asen walked towards the bodyguards calmly. Xia was curious, was Asen some kind of crippled master? Asen moved, his left foot flying out with incredible speed, kicking one bodyguard in the chin. Then, using that momentum, he spun and swept another off his feet. "Whoa," Xia said, stunned by the flying kick. Even the taekwondo he'd seen on TV wasn't that powerful. "Guess I underestimated Asen. Sorry, Xia, I don't think I can help you. You need your master to step in." Nobody does well when Su Qinghua targets them. Su Dechuan was trying to get Xia to reveal his master so he could get to know him. So that's what the old guy is up to, Xia thought. He'd been wary of Su Dechuan. Guys like that were double-edged swords, useful if handled carefully, but dangerous if not. Su Dechuan was only standing up for him because he thought Xia had a powerful teacher, and Xia wasn't about to reveal anything. "My master is a busy man. He doesn't bother with trivial things." Asen widened his stance, and in seconds, he'd knocked all 4 bodyguards to the ground. But they were tough, enduring the pain to stand again. "Not bad, you've got some fight in you." Asen showed no mercy, kicking 2 of them back down, then stamping his right foot and spinning to kick the 3rd in the head with his heel. As he landed, he lightly stepped over the other's shoulder, then, he tossed the bodyguard aside. "Come with me," Asen said, looking coldly at Xia. His job was to bring him back, not to hurt him. As for Su Dechuan, he wasn't worth worrying about. In Asen's eyes, the only reason Su Dechuan was still around was because Su Qinghua wouldn't move against an elder. Otherwise, he'd have joined Su Qinghua's other brothers long ago. "Are you waiting for an invitation?" Asen frowned, and the 2 men in black moved toward Xia, reaching to grab him. Just as they were about to grab Xia, he quickly stepped back, grabbed their shoulders, and yanked, sending them crashing to the ground. The moves were subtle, but everyone saw them clearly. Asen looked at Xia, surprised. Chapter 10, Quicksand. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A/3 isn't your average Joe. He might have a bad leg, but he's got grit for days. He's worked on his leg skills so much that they're better than ever, and naturally, his eyesight's razor sharp, even though his move in the summer was subtle, it packed a punch. That technique? Straight out of Tai Chi, seeing Xia take down those two guys in black, Su Dechuan was even more curious about his master. Now he got why Xia was so fearless. Turns out, he's not just a treasure-sniffing whiz, he's got some serious fighting chops too. Xia's Tai Chi is kind of a hack job, something he picked up on the sly from Mr. Fan. But his eagle eyes let him spot his opponent's weak spots, and that's how he cracked Mr. Fan's Tai Chi in the first place. When Xia yanked those two guys to the ground, they didn't stay down for long. Sure, they were hurting, but they were A/3's goons, and they knew how to stick by his side. They came at Xia from both sides at once, grabbing for his hands. These guys don't mess around, Xia thought, backing up, looking for an opening. But they were all over him, giving him no room to breathe. Suddenly, they went for his feet. Xia stopped, closing the distance instead of retreating, and clamped his right hand on one of their necks. Then, he surged forward, slamming the guy to the ground and pounding his face. The other guy in black, well-trained, kept his cool. He went for Xia's back. Xia rolled away just in time. Now it was a one-on-one fight. Xia spun around and hammered a fist straight into the guy's thigh, then he targeted the guy's gut. "You gonna take me now?" Xia asked, eyeing A/3. He knew A/3 was a heavy hitter. In a fair fight, he wasn't sure he could win, even if his eyes could spot A/3's weak points, his movements just weren't as fast. "You've got skill, kid, but you're still green," A/3 said, stepping towards Xia. His mission was to bring Xia back, no matter what. "What's your connection to Fan Zhaifeng?" As far as A/3 knew, Fan Zhuifeng was the only guy in Jianghai City who knew Tai Chi, and Fan Zhuifeng wasn't someone you wanted to cross. He had serious backing, and his Tai Chi skills were practically unmatched in the whole city. "Enough chit-chat. If you want to throw down, come on. I want to see what you got if you think you're gonna drag me anywhere." Xia clenched his fists, scanning his surroundings, not missing a thing. If he was going to fight A/3, he needed to be quick. A/3 chuckled. If Xia wasn't admitting a connection to Fan Chaifeng, then even if there was one, who cared? It was his own fault for keeping it quiet. Looks like trouble's here. Xia thought. Too bad my fighting skills are so weak. I wish I'd learned a few more tricks from Mr. Fan that day. He knew he was stronger since that jade pendant thing, but he had no real training, no martial arts. If he knew some real moves, he wouldn't be feeling this nervous. "No one can save you from me today, kid, not even God," A/3 said, glancing at Xia, then turning to Su Dechuan. "Looks like you're playing a dangerous game too. Watch your back, your lucky streak's about to end." Su Dechuan felt a chill. He knew A/3 was telling him the Su family was coming after him. With Su Qinghua's trust in A/3, all A/3 had to do was tell him what went down today, and the Su family would be all over him. "Xia, we can't let A/3 leave here, or we're both screwed," Su Dechuan said. He knew his own influence. He had his own business, sure, but it was nothing compared to the Su family. "Humph, you're asking for it," A/3 said, closing in on Xia. "You really think someone's gonna come save you? If anyone can pull you out of my grasp, I'll eat my hat and walk away." A/3 didn't believe anyone would show up in a place like this. He was bringing Xia back today, no question, and he wasn't planning on letting Su Dechuan off the hook either. "So, this is the legendary Lame King, A/3. Three figures stepped out of the shadows of the alley. They were dressed in gray, wearing masks, and their clothes were embroidered with a fiery cloud. "Quicksand," A/3 said, his eyes narrowing. "A/3, you're a big shot, I get it, but stay away from Xia," one of the quicksand guys said, staring him down. "I promise to bring him back. What's it to you? Name your price, I'll pay you off to look the other way." A/3 knew that this so-called quicksand was an assassin organization, and to a killer organization like quicksand, money was everything. Afraid we can't do that. The boss specifically ordered us to protect Xia. Okay, I'm out, A/3 said, gritting his teeth. He couldn't afford to mess with quicksand. These guys were pros, and even if he could take them down, quicksand would be hunting him forever. Xia hadn't said a word. He felt like he was in a movie. It finally hit him that his world had changed. It wasn't a sudden thing, it had been happening all along. He made a mental note of the name quicksand. These guys were trouble. There had to be a reason they were helping him. A/3 was dangerous, sure, but at least he was out in the open. Quicksand was different. Xia had no idea who they were or what they wanted. There's no such thing as a free lunch, and these guys weren't doing it for the money. The Su family was one of the top dogs in Shanghai City, and they had deep pockets. If quicksand wasn't after money, they wanted something more important, but what could Xia have that was so valuable? They couldn't be after the ancient Buddha relic. And besides that, there was only the blood jade bracelet. The blood jade bracelet was valuable, but not Su family valuable. So what were the quicksand people after? A/3 helped his two guys up and drove off. Who are you exactly? Xia asked the three masked figures. Xia, find the relic your father left behind. It's a scroll. Don't play games with us. We've got a million ways to kill you. You've got 7 days. If you can't find anything, we promise to make your life a living hell. After whispering their threats in Xia's ear, the quicksand guys vanished into the alley, leaving Xia, Su Dechuan, and the 4 unconscious bodyguards. Even though they were killers, they weren't looking for trouble. That was why Su Dechuan was still alive. Hey, Xia, where you headed? I'll give you a ride, Su Dechuan said. After what just happened, he had even more respect for Xia. He was sure now that Xia wasn't just some average guy, even quicksand had shown up to protect him. That meant Xia had some serious backing. The Tianhe Hotel, Xia said. He was supposed to be at his cousin's birthday party. He was already late because of all this, but he needed to get there ASAP. Plus, his cousin wanted him to play the boyfriend role. Tianhe Hotel. Got a party to go to? Need me to pick up a gift for you? Su Dechuan didn't bring up quicksand. He knew that this kind of thing was a very secret thing, a secret of Xia. The less he knows, the better. Xia didn't ask Su Dechuan about quicksand either. Judging by A/3's reaction, they were a very secretive organization. And what was this scroll they wanted? He didn't know anything about a scroll. His father had never given him anything like that. Quicksand had given him 7 days. He needed to find that scroll, or find a way to fight quicksand. But the latter seemed impossible. Guess I gotta go back to the old house tomorrow. He thought. He hadn't sold it after his father died, but he'd never gone back. Oh, right, my cousin's birthday. I already got her a gift, that bracelet. It would be great to give the blood jade bracelet as a birthday present for my cousin in the summer. Afterwards, it can play a role in beauty, and it can also resist aging. Even though his cousin is very young now, she has been wearing a blood jade bracelet. Even after she is 40 years old, it looks like she is only in her 20s. Perfect gift, Su Dechuan said with a smile. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. Summer's phone rang. Hey, I'm almost there. Hurry up, you're gonna be my shield tonight. Need me to bring you flowers? Okay, figure it out. Summer hung up. Su Dechuan chuckled. He'd been around the block. He knew what that conversation meant. Hey, leave the flowers to me. You go on ahead, I'll get them delivered. Huh, Xia said awkwardly. Thanks, Mr. Su. None of that, Mr. Su, stuff. Call me Su Dechuan, Su Dechuan said casually. Huh, thanks, Dechuan. Xia smiled. He knew guys like Su Dechuan could be useful in the future. The car pulled up to the Tianhe Hotel. The place was hopping. There was even a banner outside congratulating Ms. Yi Qingxue on her birthday. The entrance was decked out.